So thank you folks for attending. Today I will be talking about something related to AI, especially Gen AI, and how we can secure cloud environments and we can move from reactive defense to proactive protection. My name is Advait Patel. I work as a senior site reliability engineer at Broadcom, where I handle everything related to cloud security for the observability product that I'm currently part of and implementing security-based practices, handling the cloud infrastructure, implementing DevSecOps practices. And recently we have started integrating and using AI workloads. Apart from that, I have been very active within the IEEE community. I serve as an conference chair for the IEEE Chicago section, as well as large section support chair for the entire IEEE region 4 that includes the entire Midwest zone. I'm also co-founding member of OWASP's GenAI security scoring, vulnerability scoring system with Diana and Ken, along with other great founding members. I am also creator of DocSec, which is the Docker security analyzer tool. I will give a quick overview of this tool in the later of the presentation. I'm also authoring books. I also have authored books on intersection of AI, cloud security, and GCP and AWS with Wiley, Springer, Nature, and Oppress. Also, I have been speaking at multiple conferences ranging from Blue Team Con, Data Week, and next month I will be speaking at ConCon as well in Iowa. And I have been regularly writing articles on the similar topic related to security, DevSecOps, cloud engineering, and Gen AI on the intersection of security and all on the number of platforms such as ISACA, ISS, CSA, HackerRoom, and etc. So before wasting any time, let's dive into the presentation. One thing that we can all agree is that the cloud security journey has been fascinating so far, right? We started with traditional security, where we implemented perimeter-based defenses. We implemented firewall security. We implemented static rules, and there were tons and tons of manual processes and lengthy manual hours, right? But these all were designed and these all were working for a monolithic architecture. And then we switched to cloud native architecture, where we deployed hundreds and thousands of workloads in cloud environment, ranging from serverless architecture, serverless functions, microservices, containers, Kubernetes, workloads, and etc. And one thing that it added to the posture of security is complexity and complexions, right? And today here we are talking about AI-powered security. Probably for past 1 year, we have heard tons and tons of things about how we can leverage AI into security development, deployment, and so on, right? So one thing that is common and one thing that is clear now is we cannot be reactive. We and our security has to be proactive and has to be intelligent to cope up with this trend, to cope up with this new transformation and all. So before we dive in about and we talk about why we need Gen AI, why we need AI to strengthen our security posture, let's think about what are the technical challenges or difficulties that we have been seeing or we are facing in our production workloads or our production environments, right? So first is scale and complexity. We are seeing the huge scale where we are deploying, the teams are deploying their environment in multiple cloud environments using multiple cloud products. Doesn't matter now whether you are in AWS, you can deploy your workloads in as an hybrid cloud. And also this scalability and complexity is exponentially increasing the attack surface on the for the production environment. So those tools, the traditional tools, they don't cope up with this scalability. The another challenge is the AI ML workloads, right? Teams are started integrating AI ML workloads, AI ML models, techniques, and everything related to it in their day-to-day operations, day-to-day production environment, right? And those traditional security tools, they don't work with this new trend. They don't work with this new environment where we are using AI and ML technologies. And the last but not the least is DevOps velocity. with the rapid pace of continuous integration, continuous deployment, where even in seconds, teams are deploying continuously, companies are deploying their production environment and features and services number of times in a day. That is the pace the manual process or the old outdated process cannot cope up with, right? We need to spend we need to spend number of hours, number of days in order to manually review and approve the process and workflow and everything, right? So that is not possible with this rapid pace of continuous integration, continuous delivery. So these three challenges are giving us clear picture that we need something that is capable of protecting everything that is going on with the trend, also keeping up with the pace with these new challenges, right? So that's where GenAI comes into the picture. That's when it changes the game. So basically, starting from intelligent threat detection, where GenAI analyzes processes massive amount of data. It detects the patterns. It runs your environment. It runs the massive data scale, and starting from then it identifies using those models. It identifies the anomalies and identifies the zero-day threats as well, which the traditional tools they cannot do it. And with this new feature, they are giving us context-aware alerts, which helps the security teams to reduce the false positives, so that they can only focus on what actually matters rather than solving every single thing that is generated by these tools. The second thing that AI can help us with the automated response. Now, no one has to spend hours and their efforts by manually reviewing workflow, by manually approving the workflow and reviewing the code and etc. Right? Gen AI can make that entire process automated, and people now can actually spend their time with the development and improving the product rather than those mundane tasks. The other thing is predictive defense, where these models, these Gen AI tools and technologies, they are predicting the attack path. They are based on past learnings, based on the data that we feed into. They are learning, and they can tell you like if this is gonna continue, we might see this issue in future, right? So that gives us an edge against those adversarial attacks that we will talk about later. So this predictive defense, it enables the proactive hardening of the systems before the attack actually occurs. So that is why we need Gen AI, and that is why we need something like this, which can cope up with the pace of the industry standards, and also helps us to reduce the attack surface. Let's talk about something along with the AI, along with the using AI to secure our cloud, right? There is a term which is becoming famous and famous in the SRE or DevSecOps phase, which is LLMSecOps, where AI meets DevSecOps pipeline. So we need those AI as well integrated with our DevSecOps pipelines, because those pipelines they have to start scanning the they have to start scanning the pipeline infrastructure. They have to sanitize the data, and also they have to secure the model architecture and adversarial training. They apply these adversarial training techniques into the pipeline. So that's where this LLMSecOps comes into the picture and helps us. The second thing is AI aware CI/CD pipelines, right? Where these pipelines, AI helps us scanning everything, scanning all the vulnerabilities that are in the pipeline. Doesn't matter if it is 5-stage process or n number of steps in the pipeline, right? It scans everything. It validates before going into the next workflow, and also it deploys those governance and those audit checks at the regular interval. The next is runtime model protection, where we deploy the monitoring systems into each stage of the pipeline, and which checks the input and also inference attacks in production environment with real-time alerting, so that we can take actions accordingly and we can fix it before it goes into the production environment. And also, this is not just a one-time process, but we also have to continuously validate. We also have to continuously check how it is doing, how the pipeline is working, and that comes into the that goes this continuous security validation into the pipeline. So that's where it automatically testing the pen. It automatically performs the pen testing using the APIs on the APIs. Also, it checks. Also, it validates the robustness of the model, and also it checks for the compliance and the verification. So AI and cloud is not the only thing, but we also have to think about the fundamental foundation. And foundation is container and Kubernetes, right? Because these days we think when we think about microservices, containers and Kubernetes comes into the picture, right? And these days all the majority of the cloud provider, whether you run your clusters into GKE, AKS, or EKS, or even if you spin up your clusters in bare metal server, you need those container and Kubernetes to be secured. And starting from image security, the AI, we need to continuously scan our images for vulnerability scanning. Then we need to sign those images and then deploy. In the runtime protection, we continuously check behavioral aspect of the monitoring, and then do the anomaly detection, and then isolate the workloads accordingly. We also encrypt east and west traffic, like whatever comes into the picture, we encrypt. We have to encrypt those traffic, and then isolate isolate using those micro segmentation, right? Your production environment has to be different than your lab environment and dev environment. You cannot just test everything in prod, but you should have, and you must have the different environment. That's where this micro segmentation comes. And access control. We will talk about zero trust in later, but access control, role-based access, and service service accounts and security standards for each pod has to be there in order to successfully secure our containers or Kubernetes environments. So this is the right time to give some real world case study. There was a client, an enterprise client, which was facing the number of problems regarding vulnerabilities in their container system. Their tools were generating alerts for their DevOps team, SRE team, or for their respective teams, right? But those tools was not giving them the direction. Those tools were not giving them like what to do, when to do, and how to do. So that's where we deployed DocSec, my AI-powered Docker analyzer tool, which scans the Docker environment, which scans your Docker file, your containers, and tells you these are the it categorize the problems, it categorize the things that it finds into high, critical, and low and medium severity, right? So that and also along with it, it tells you like what exactly needs to be fixed and where. So that's where your teams or the developers can have to, like, they don't have to spend time troubleshooting or finding the root cause, but they can simply go to the based on their timing and based on their priority. They can simply go to the critical bug or critical severity items and remediate those action items. And the result of implementing this tool is they were able to significantly reduce the security incident. Obviously, when you know what needs to be fixed, you only change those parts rather than changing the entire file, right? Also, the vulnerability detection time dramatically reduced, shortened. Also, and on top of all of this, if we save time, if we save manpower, and if we don't use those additional or not required subscription, we will definitely see significant savings in terms of cost, right? And in their own terms, they said that now they are rather than focusing on reactive firefighting, they are now focusing on preactive prevention. So that's what this DocSec implementation did for them. And this DocSec is open source tool, which was also backed by OWASP, and the source code and the README page and instruction on how you can leverage it and everything is mentioned in the documentation, and it's ready to be used. So we talked about why we need AI, where we need AI, and how we can use AI, right? But let's also talk about the flip side of AI. we cannot just focus on implementation of AI, but we also have to think about defending AI. And we would like, someone asked like, why we need AI to defend, right? But these are the common threats that we have been seeing, and some of those were taken from the OWASP top 10 LLM threats. Let's talk about adversarial example, where attackers can carefully crafts the input, and can easily fool the ML model, right? To defend that, we need the adversarial training, and we need to validate the input and assemble the methods to improve the model robustness. That's how we can remediate this threat. Model poisoning. Once those compromised data goes into your ML model, uh, the behavior of the ML model can change, right? It rather than uh, with Diana talked about in her keynote that if something happens by, like, if the ticketing system is using AI agent, and if the model goes rogue, then anything can happen, and there is no one to blame except for the AI agent, right? So to mitigate that, we need the data validation before we inject those data into the ML model, and for that we need the federated learning techniques and continuous model monitoring. The another threat could be inference attacks, where attackers can fetch those sensitive data from the model output, and they can then use those data for XYZ purpose, and it definitely it won't be in good terms. So to protect that, it involves differential privacy and output randomization and access controls on the model API, so that we can have control over what model actually provides as an output, and we can make it safe from the inference attacks. So, okay, we talked about what could be bad things and why we need to defend AI, right? But what would be the ideal approach? What would be the ideal solution? And that's where the zero trust architecture comes into the picture. Zero trust says never trust, but always verify. Doesn't matter from where it is coming from, doesn't matter what's the source, what's the origin. All the requests that comes into the production environment has to be authenticated, has to be authorized, and before granting access to human or the AI model. Second thing is least privilege access. Like, start with minimal access. Start with zero access and then go on, rather than providing everything and then reducing from there. Because sometimes we don't think, but AI models, AI agents, and even humans, they tend to ask for more permissions than start with the lower permissions, right? So start with least privilege access and only provide what's actually necessary, rather than providing everything and then reducing the permissions. Also, continuous verification. Zero trust is not just one time thing. It's not just like, okay, I authorize the request, and then I'm done for that session. It's not like that. We have to continuously authorize throughout the entire session of that runtime execution, and that's how and for that we need to continuously monitor the session and evaluate the trust throughout the session timeline. And also we need to implement the AI specific security. We need to extend and trust principles to AI data pipelines, model access, and inference endpoints. We need to also protect the data poisoning and also adversarial manipulation. So these are the techniques which we can use and implement in AI powered clouds, where we can use the help of AI. So implementing AI and talking about AI and cloud is not enough if we don't consider compliance, right? Because no customer would trust us if we don't comply with industrial standards, right? There are standards like GDPR, SOC 2, ISO, HIPAA, and so on, right? So we have to be compliant with those standards, and have to make sure that our AI pipeline, our AI systems, whether AI agents and etc., they have to be compliant with these standards. Also, we have to implement the structure frameworks for responsible AI development and deployment, and have to make sure that all the ethical guidelines are covered, and also model lifecycle is oversight. Then we also need to make sure that the audit trails are there. We know, like, we doesn't matter who did what, but we need to have the eyesight on when that happened, how that happened, and what was the outcome. Because in situation like firefighting, you don't want to spend time in figuring out what happened in past, but you should have those information in hand, and that's why you need to track the audit trails. You need to have your eyes everywhere in your system. There should not be a single blind spot where you cannot have your logs or audit trails, where you cannot go back and check what happened. And also, this compliance process are time taking and also involves a lot of manual work. So we need to think about how we can automate it. And for that, we need to start thinking about how we can leverage these tools for continuous monitoring, and also for automating these policies enforcement and for real-time reporting. So implementing technology itself is not enough if we don't have a culture, right? And to implement all these best practices, we need to first start thinking about the culture and how we can implement this culture within our team, within our organization, and within our company. That's how we will be succeed. We will succeed. Otherwise, if we just rely on technology, and if the management is also not on the same page, then implementing this won't be enough or won't be possible, right? So we have to make sure that organizational change management is also on the same page. All the security principles are into the AI development life cycle, also ensuring leadership buy-in into the policy integration across all stages, from data ingestion to model deployment. Also, security awareness trainings are very required because AI is changing day by day, and all the parties that are involved, from development, testing, deployment, and monitoring, whatever it is, all the parties have to be up to date with whatever is going on, with current threats, with current remediation, with current tools, and current frameworks, and etc. We also have to start thinking about implementing security championship within our organization. So there should be someone who will be acting as a point of contact, and who will be acting as who will be accelerating the incident response time if anything happens, and also fostering the proactive security practices. So that should also be considered as a good culture. Having someone who knows what to do, and also from the developer, from the engineer, also then they should know, like, from whom to reach out to whom to reach out to. Okay, so to wrap up, here are my key takeaways. Traditional security, we need to accept this, that traditional security tools, they are not gonna help us with this workloads that we are running currently in the production. And we have to start leveraging AI. We have to start leveraging GenAI to protect our cloud environment, to protect our workloads, whether it is AI, ML, whether it is running in GCP, AWS, Microsoft, or Oracle, doesn't matter. Also, we need to start leveraging AI into our DevSecOps pipelines, our automated pipelines, right? And we have to make sure that AI is involved in the security lifecycle, starting from model training to model running. And also, we need to start building this security into every layer of from containers to serverless environment, or Docker, or any environment. We need to start implementing these security best practices, and need to start using those zero trust environment architecture, runtime protection, continuous monitoring, and continuous logging, everything in our workloads. So how should you get started? Rather than getting overwhelmed, start with something small, right? Pick any of these takeaways and start implementing these takeaways in your security day-to-day security operations, and see how it goes. It's definitely gonna help, coming from the real experience. So definitely pick something and start implementing, and you will know, you will get to know the positive outcomes of your infrastructure, of your production workload. So that concludes my presentation. I am also researching in this topic, so would definitely, if anyone interested, would love to get involved, and also would love to spend time talking about how we can use Gen AI in securing the cloud AI workloads and anything related to it. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.